Gary's here, ready to go. Okay. So we are at the protest today, Norfolk, Virginia, June 14th, 2025. We're here with, who do we have?
Pat O'Donnell.
Pat O'Donnell. Okay. So could you explain perhaps, I'm realizing now that's not actually Kim Jong-un. It's Donald Trump looking like Kim Jong-un.
Well, I can take no credit. My son in Washington made the image to use at the parade in D.C., but the restrictions on signs were such that he couldn't. So he's emailed it to us, and or to CVS. We just had them printed out, and my wife put it on the billboard. And
Okay.
it's just an AI merger. Just from what he says, you go on AI. You say, give me a merger of Trump and Kim Jong-un, and it gives you several images, and he
So
chose this one.
it is done fairly well. So can you help me understand the comparison between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un?
Well, it is an exaggeration,
Okay.
clearly, but we're very concerned about um, what I consider the disdain for the rule of law, primarily. He is not conducting himself according to statutes, the Constitution, and longstanding practice, Supreme Court precedent. And so that's primarily, to me, the biggest risk is that we have a president who is essentially lawless or purposefully exceeding the law and testing the courts, which have so far, to my great relief, been a bulwark in the country for standing up for the law.
Okay.
And I just hope that we respect what the courts have done and are doing. And a lot of the lawyers who are fighting, lawyers get a bad rap, but lawyers in this case are fighting a good fight. And we're just hoping to come out here and bolster that fight. Because if the rule of law goes, that's it. That's what stands between us and a dictatorship like Kim Jong-un. This is
It's an exaggeration,
hyperbole,
you said, yeah. But the
but,
hyperbole got the interview. You know what I mean?
well, the hyperbole is a warning, I
Right.
suspect. It's a warning. If we do not pump the brakes or slam on the brakes, then we are headed in an extraordinarily dark direction, and that's where we do not want to go.
Okay, so I do like what you said about not just applying pressure to the brakes, but slamming on the brakes.
Yeah.
So compare that to what's going on right now with the administration. What does slamming on the brakes look like in this
Well,
regard?
slamming on the brakes, he does seem to react to public pressure. He's backing off some of his roundups of undocumented people because his farmer base is up in arms.
Right, yeah.
And look, if they were serious, if this wasn't theater, you'd be arresting the employers. You'd be dragging them in. If you wanted to send a message, are these people?
Who's benefiting, and also like it's also more efficient because it's a smaller group of people
What's
with a
smaller?
whole lot more
And you don't
documentation to
have to arrest
follow.
many.
Right.
If you got arrest a bunch of farmers or hotel operators and restaurant chain presidents,
Okay.
that's going to do what running through the fields, getting people picking lettuce, that's going to get a lot more attention. So to me, this is more a theater for the purpose of telling people self-deport.
Okay. A theater for the telling the world to self-deport. Okay. One more question then. Do you think there's a real problem that Trump is attempting to solve, even if he's doing a horrific job at doing it? Is there a real problem that he's trying to solve?
Well, I would have given him credit for, but if he was actually pushing true immigration reform. But to me, that's not what he's doing. If you wanted immigration reform, you have to address the fact that we have the right to anybody who crosses legally or illegally to get a asylum hearing. All right. Well, if you're going to get rid of that, then in order to get that, you'd have to give up some other things about, allowing more people or allowing this or that. You would have what we did have, that omnibus immigration bill, right? Well, he was the one who put the kibosh on that being approved because it was going to be approved. It was headed for approval, I should say. And then he was threatening any Republican who voted for it. And so they withdrew support for that. If he was actually working with Congress toward an omnibus, even-handed immigration reform, which I think has to be done at some point, then okay, I could credit his motive. But he didn't do that. He'd worked against that, and now he's chasing farm workers through fields and arresting them and dragging people out of their house, people who show up for their immigration hearings as they're required to do. So they've been in the country a long time. They're playing by the rules.
Not someone that's been here for a couple of weeks or just.
They're grabbing you out of the immigration hearing. They're grabbing you out of your court hearing. They're grabbing you out of renewing your address, going down there. So they're grabbing, those people are law-abiding people. They've been here a long time often, in most cases. So if you ran on getting rid of criminal illegal aliens, that's not these people. This is just a wholesale roundup. And that's why I can't credit his motives.
Thank you for sharing, brother.
Sure.
Appreciate you. Mind if we get a close up of your side? I appreciate you, brother.
Sure.
Good work. It's good.